Coming up, signs that your ideal job doesn't exist. And then Uber and Starbucks CEOs are taking shifts on the front line. People are applauding it like it's a new great idea. We'll talk about it. Helping you win at work so that you're winning in life, and we do that two ways. I want you to be in the right seat on the right bus, that's professionally, so that you are winning financially and relationally because your work affects so much of your life. So that's what we're going to do. And I've got some really interesting conversational data to share with you to start today's show, because I've been wrestling with this for some time. You know, there's a very common phrase related to work called a dream job. But the way I view a dream job, the way you view a dream job can be, and many times is, very, very different. So I recently interviewed a panel of high school students in the local area here of Tennessee. And it was for a project that we've been telling you about, our Foundations in Career Discovery course. And I wanted real teenagers in there to discuss work from a variety of angles. And I'm going to show you just a moment, just a brief little moment of us talking about the concept, the phrase, a dream job. Is a dream job defined by reality or is it fantasy? Watch the conversation. The dream job. You guys are laughing. What does that mean? Is that a fairy tale or is it a thing? I want to know what teenagers think.
I feel like this is kind of mean, but like it seems like something that you'd want to laugh at. Like if someone's like, "Oh, I'm doing my dream job," it reminds me of them like settling. I don't know if that makes sense.
Really?
Like I feel like it has this choice of like, oh, I could make money or I could go. Like that seems the options of making money or like in doing what like everyone wants me to do or my dream job.
Wow. Are you guys shaking your heads because you agree with that? That the dream job, let me make sure I heard you, that was good. The dream job is something that's really awesome and enjoyable, but I can't make much money in it.
Yeah.
Really?
I know when I say it out loud, I know it's not true, but that's fully what I believe.
Well, but
that's what's been ingrained into our brains.
Yeah.
Is
How has that happened?
Well, because there's certain sort of majors or certain sort of career paths that people think that are just like a one and done opportunity. That people think that, only a few people, like if you want to go into fine arts, if you want to go into art, if you want to go into fashion, people claim those types of career paths, career choices. It's just like hit or miss. So it's like really risky. Yeah. So normally that's why people I agree with you, where people view that as like a dream job. Versus the original, what you listed before, either a lawyer, engineer, or teacher, that's the actual financial job.
What I'm hearing you all say is that it's been ingrained into you that the phrase dream job really is fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
See, so I hit it. Oh, I'm so sad. I am. Wow, there it is, folks. These are teenagers. They've not sat around and talk about dream job and what it means. And so here I am, this middle-aged dude who throws it out at them. And the big takeaway is twofold. One, that the dream job is something that feels good but doesn't pay good. It's something that you can't live off of. It's fantastical in nature. That's wrong, but that is one part of the narrative on what the phrase, the words dream job mean, I think, to most people. Enjoyable, not feasible. Great, but doesn't pay me well. And then the second way that a lot of people look at it, was made very clear, is that it's this idea that is actually impossible. 0% chance. I'll give you an example. If I look at my life. So if I were to take myself back to the age of those young people in that living room set there, my dream job would have been to play point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. But folks, just as it was true then, it is true now. There is 0.0 to infinity and beyond chance of me playing point guard for the Lakers. Like, no chance. Thank you, Nathan. Nathan is shaking his head vociferously. He knows. There's no chance. Like when I say this, like, do you guys get it? I'm having fun at my own expense. Nathan gets it. Like, no shot. Like, zeros to infinity ever happening. Well, that is a fantasy. A fantasy is unbelievable, but a dream is achievable, and that's the difference. A dream is not this fantasy that I've allowed myself to kind of float into. A dream is I can see it. I know it's possible. And I dream about it. I don't fantasize. I think about it. It's in my mind. It's in my subconscious. That's the difference. But what a discouraging and demotivating way to look at that phrase. So I'm not going to try to redefine it here on the show. But I do want us to see that the things we think about and long for, not in a moment of just crazy fantasy, but I keep returning to these thoughts. And I know deep in my heart, it might be very, very hard, but it is also very possible. So the fantasy, how do we know if it's fantasy when you know there's zero shot? The Lakers. Ken being a point guard of the Lakers, zero shot. Why? I don't have the talent. Done. End of story. I'm 5'9", can't jump over a piece of paper. Wasn't even really a great shooter. There's no chance. So how do we know then that the dream is possible? Do I have the talent? I got the core talent. Through education and experience, I can hone it into a sharpened skill. Do I care deeply about it? This is why I use the word passion. Do I love the work deeply? I'm willing to suffer rejection, suffer patience, suffer failure. Come on. That's passion. And then third, do I care deeply about the results of the work? It's not just the enjoyment of the work. It is the satisfaction, the conviction of the results. That is when we know it is in fact a dream and it is achievable. So when you begin to dismiss the dream job as a mere childhood fantasy, come back to those 3 elements that I teach you must have to know that it is on purpose and thus it is possible because you were produced by the creator of the universe. Produced, created to do it. Get the Get Clear assessment. It'll walk you through talent, passion, and mission and hold your idea up to it. And then you know that you know that you know the dream is worth pursuing.
Do you know what you were born to do? In order to get hired at a job you love, you need to get clear on your talent, passion, and mission. That's why our team created the Career Clarity Guide. In just a few minutes, this free tool will walk you through a process to discover what you do best, that's your talent, the work you love to do, that's your passion, and the results that matter to you, your mission. Then you'll feel more confident throughout the job search process. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/clarity.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. I am a man of the people because all I care about on this show is helping you do what you were born to do. And that means you're going to make really good money and you're going to feel even better. Tremendous meaning and purpose, and I'm here to help. If you're enjoying the show and you're listening via podcast, would you follow us? And would you give us a 5-star review? If you are watching on YouTube, will you like the video And subscribe and maybe give a nice comment and a share all the way down the board. I would appreciate that. Hey, parents, I launched my very first curriculum for students. Our school system does not train kids to discover who they are uniquely built to be. They don't. They teach them all the other stuff. Oh, you got your STEM, you got all your other stuff. They are uniquely and wonderfully made. And as a result, they should be able to make a much more educated decision about what their future is as it relates to education and training. And I don't want your kids being put on the assembly line that leads them straight to a school they cannot afford and a degree they cannot use. That's why I launched Foundations in Career Discovery. This is a curriculum that is a home study that you can follow along with and help your young person do. And it is only $49.99 for one student. You can add an additional student for $30. You get a year's worth of access to this. Do it as you go. It includes a free teacher account for you, the parent, to be able to get all the additional teacher resources. And teacher, we're using this very loosely. You don't have to sit up and teach them. They can go through it. I'm teaching in the curriculum on video. Each student gets access to my Get Clear assessment for students. This assessment, again, reveals what you do best, what you love to do, and results that motivate you. That is vital information for self-awareness and clarity to move forward. All the details at kencoleman.com/student. kencoleman.com/student. All right, so there's a new trend in corporate America, and this makes me laugh that this is a new trend, and people are like, oh, this is amazing. I love it. Oh, this is so good. And experts are quoted in this article, and I'm not going to quote the experts because they're acting like this is now needed more than ever. And the fact is, this should have been going on since the beginning of business. What is the trend? Well, this is a Fortune article here. The CEOs of Uber and Starbucks are picking up frontline shifts. And so, you could show up at a certain Starbucks and you roll up to the window, or maybe you walk up to the counter, and if you didn't know any better or somebody didn't tell you, the CEO could be in there, apron on, giving you your drink. Or you could order an Uber and the CEO of Uber is picking you up. So this is now, according to this article, picking up steam as CEOs are looking to deal with the lack of engagement and also get an intimate understanding of their staff and the customer. Now, I don't understand why this is an article. This is mind-numbingly stupid to me that all of a sudden this is a new trend. And I'm only speaking on this is my perspective. Honestly, if I'm running a company that large, I'm going to be out there with the customer on a regular basis. I'm going to be talking with my team. I want to know what the 16-year-old at the point of sale is experiencing, and I want to know what the 66-year-old who's helping deliver the drink is doing. I mean, that's just, to me, it's just a no-brainer. 53% of workers, according to this article, believe that their employees are out of touch. I can't believe it's that low with what employees want from company culture, according to a survey from HR publishing platform eLearning Industries. Not surprising, given to this piece of data. CEOs spend only 6% of their time with rank and file employees on average, according to a study tracking the time allocation of 27 CEOs, this done by Harvard Business School. 6% of their time, and we wonder why the Great Resignation happened and continues to happen with 4+ million people quitting their jobs every month. You got to come out of the tower. You got to walk through the streets, leaders. And can we just say this? This is not just me challenging CEOs. Anybody who's listening to me and watching me right now who is in a leadership position, You need to be outside of your office, sitting in the cubes, walking the hallways, listening to your team as they interact with each other, as they interact with the customer, as they interact with vendors. You need to be in the trenches. Some of you may not have seen Saving Private Ryan, but I'll use this as an example. Any war movie where the leader of that battalion was in the trenches taking fire. This is a battlefield scene. All right. I'm not taking you to a scene where they're in camp and the leader's got his tent set up and his right hand is there with him. I'm talking battle scene. You just think of your favorite military movie, war movie, battle scene, the leader is taking fire. They are in the trenches with their men. That's the metaphor. You cannot lead effectively from a tower. You say, well, Ken, there's a chain of command that works in military all the time. I get it. But chain of command is the phrase. The general is miles from battle, getting reports through the chain of command. Each time that the communication of the situation moves through the chain of command, it loses its relevance. Is the information largely the same? Sure. But the general's got to make a decision through all of that communication, and they're not on the ground. How can you make the best decision if you're not truly understanding what is happening on the ground? So I applaud these CEOs for doing this. I just think it's silly that, in this article, and again, I'm not going to name these experts because I don't want to. I'm not trying to poke fun at anybody. I'm just saying they're acting like this is just some amazing, like it's needed now more than ever. No, it's always been needed. It will always be needed. It is, in my mind, a no-brainer. Now, here's the question that I have. And I think you leaders out there, if you see your leaders doing this, and you followers out there, if you see your leaders doing this, I think you got to pay attention to this. So here's the question I have for the Starbucks CEO, for the Uber CEO, for these other CEOs who are supposedly doing this now more than ever. This is, to me, because this should always be being done. It's not a reflection of the lack of engagement that we have coming out of the pandemic, as if it's sort of this unique time in history, and so I've got to do things a little differently. No, this is a no-brainer. But the question I have is it authentic or is it about performance? I mean, are they doing this to lift morale by everybody seeing them and everybody talking about it? Did you hear? Our CEO came in today and made Ken Coleman a white chocolate mocha. Wow. So cool. Had the apron on and everything. Wow. Talk to me. Ask me how long I've been there. Oh, so cool. Is it a PR stunt? Publicly and internally? Or is it authentic? Are they learning? Are they listening? Are they seeing? Are they leading differently? Because they're on the front lines. I'll tell you, if you know, it's authentic if they keep doing it and never stop.
Are you wondering if you should leave your current job or stay put? You're not alone. That's why we created the Should I Quit My Job quiz. In just 5 minutes or less, this quiz will help you determine if you're at the right company and if you're in the right role. If you need to make a move, you'll even get practical next steps to keep you moving forward. Listen, stuck is a choice, and life is too short not to do what you were created to do. To take the quiz, go to kencoleman.com/quiz.
All right, folks, we got another viral story of just a horrible boss. I got to tell you, here's what you're wondering, what am I struggling with? Okay, I'm gonna be very transparent. Okay. You cannot imagine how many times I filter myself on the show. I do it all the time. I'm not going to filter myself. Ken the Christian believes that everything can be forgiven and should be forgiven. All right, so let me get that out of the way. But Ken the host does not think that this type of leadership is forgivable. How's that for a setup? I'll go further and say that I can forgive a leader for making a bad strategic business decision. And what I mean by that is we've got some uncertainty or we've got to make a decision. You talk to all your leaders, you gather the facts, and you go, I think we need to launch this line of product, or I think we need to expand our service, or I think we need to cut in this area. I could forgive any business decision that is not bad people decisions. Okay? I can forgive. Like, it's just a bad business decision. You took a shot. It was a risk. It was calculated. You didn't calculate right. I can forgive that. I have a hard time forgiving tone-deaf people decisions. And that's where I'm going. This story is real. Clearlink CEO is the latest dubious dunce. Tone deaf Tommy is this guy. During a virtual town hall with his employees, the Clearlink CEO started pontificating about the sacrifices that he was seeing from some of the workers who were shedding blood, sweat, and tears for the firm. So as always, these things start off pretty good, you know? I'm sure the best intentions were had. You know, he's like, all right, I'm going to get a town hall together and we're going to talk about some stories of people that are giving their all for this company. James Clark is the guy. He founded the Utah-based digital marketing firm in 2001. And this is so bizarre. He's giving a bizarre. I'm not even sure where to start on this. Okay, but the town hall came after. So let me jump around. So the town hall, before I read what he says a lot, but the town hall came after the company sent an email mandating all of their employees who live within 50 miles of their headquarters to return to the office starting April 17th, okay? So obviously, a lot of companies doing this. I've been reporting this. He's going, look, if you live within 50 miles, you got to come into work, okay? And so that clearly didn't go over very well, okay? Because some people said that they didn't want to do it, and he starts throwing out accusations that some of their developers could be working for two different companies. Content writers are using AI to write. And so he doesn't actually give examples. It's just he's starting to wind himself up. And the town hall was after he said, come back in, and people push back. And he goes, here's why you're coming back in. I think there's some people out there that are working two jobs. I think there are writers that are using AI. Now, again, I don't know if he has any evidence of this or not, but this is where it gets weird. So he's working himself up, and he's going, you got to get back in if you're within 50 miles. And so now he's going into this part of the town hall where he says, there's some people that are really sacrificing. And this is where it gets wacky. He goes, I learned from one of our leaders that in the midst of hearing this message, the message being that you got to come back in to the office, one of our leaders that in the midst of hearing this message, they went out and sold their family dog. Yeah. Which breaks my heart, he says. As he began to brag about some of his past achievements as the company's head of the humanization of pets movement. What does that mean? Truly, those are the sacrifices that are being made, and I honor you for those sacrifices and what is taking place here. Then he gave him this challenge. There's not one of you here, and I challenge any one of you to outwork me, and you won't. I'm all in on what we're doing here at ClearLink, and I want you to know it and feel it, because this is what we do. And I've sacrificed. And those of you that are here have sacrificed greatly to be here as well, to be away from your family. And then he goes on and makes some of these accusations. All right, now, here's the thing. This is unforgivable because this is so tone deaf, because here's the deal. Don't take issue with this guy saying that he wanted people to stop remote work and come back into the office. I don't have any issue with that. But for him to then hear about someone who had to sell their dog because I don't know why. I guess they couldn't get someone to care for the dog. But for him to throw that out there in the town hall, it's like everything else he said is like this. Rah, 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 rah. Because everybody's doing what you did and what I did when you heard the story. They sold their dog? Like, why wouldn't you as a leader go, hey, I don't want you to sell your dog. I do want you in the office. Let's think through this. Or if you don't want to do that, don't tell the story. But you're going to hold up as a champion of someone going the extra mile for the company and having a great attitude. Because what he's trying to do is go, look, we've got some people that have just gone to extreme lengths to honor my request that you come back to the office. And I appreciate that. I know a lot of you have to make sacrifices, and I appreciate it. That would have been enough. No. He then holds up as an example the guy who had to sell his family dog. And immediately everybody's hearts are broken. Some people are mad. What do you think that does, you doofus? It just sends a message that you are tone deaf and you don't care about us to where you celebrate that. Now, listen, I don't know why the person felt the need to sell the dog. Okay? But clearly, they were despondent enough, discouraged enough to say, I can't lose my job, so I've got to go in, and I have nobody that can watch the dog, or I can't afford to take care of the dog, so I'm going to sell it. I mean, this is a person who has, if you're selling your dog, you've reached a pretty despairing moment. Can we agree with that? Now, here's what we don't know. I always have to give the other side of the story. That dog could have been an obnoxious puppy that was chewing up everything, and the person had had enough. It doesn't feel like that's what was going on. But regardless of that, it's this kind of tone-deaf leadership that is leading to such turnover. Because he then goes into the, I dare any of you to outwork me. You won't. You can't, because I'm committed. Hey, listen, Braveheart, you started the company. Can we just acknowledge the company is one of your babies? It's like me looking at Nathan going, I care more about my kids than you do, Nathan. I dare you to care more about my kids than I do. That's how stupid that is. I dare you to outwork me. Well, you started the company. It's nonsensical. And this kind of bravado and John Wayne empty motivation is seen for what it really is. It's poor manipulation. Stop it, leaders. It doesn't work.
Did you know that recruiters take an average of 6 seconds to scan a resume? And that's if they ever see it in the first place. In fact, 75% of resumes are rejected before reaching a hiring manager. Listen, folks, if you want to get hired, you've got to make your resume worth noticing. That's why we created How to Write the Perfect Resume. This free guide will walk you through the 5 steps to stand out in the hiring process to get you your dream job. If you want to get started, go to kencoleman.com/resume.
Time to coach some people up here on the Ken Coleman Show. The phone number is 844-747-2577. Ask at kencoleman.com is the email address if you want to sign up to be coached. Let's go to Tara, who is joining us in Los Angeles, California. Tara, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thank you for speaking with me today.
You bet.
Here's my situation. I'm 35. For the last 2.5 years, I've been working in procurement for a large national company. Generally, I do like working here, and I like what I do. I could see myself retiring here if there's still a place for me by then. There's constant process improvements, and they're creating new departments and new positions. And some of my current responsibilities will either become obsolete or be given to other employees with skills that I do not have.
They told
some of
you
that has
that?
already begun. Yes, they told me that.
When did they tell you that?
So I did have a conversation with a supervisor maybe about 6 months ago, and this is one of several conversations. It is the way of the company to constantly innovate and strive to do things more efficiently, which does end up replacing people's jobs or the tasks of their jobs. And it's also happening with the position below me.
Is there a history, though, of when they do that they upskill people and move you up and around, or no?
Well, there's kind of a lot of turnover in general here. So to me, what it seems like is some people just leave.
Oh, okay.
And some people will stay. And it does seem that they've been good to those people in not letting them go.
Gotcha.
They'll be like the last ones left doing that job, but they're not rehiring for all the 5 other people in the department that left.
And when your leader told you this, there didn't sound like there was an option for you to climb, correct? It was more of a warning.
Well, that's the thing. It's tricky. It sounded very optimistic about, hey, they're constantly making new positions. There might be a position that you will be great for that doesn't even exist yet. But what I'm seeing are some of my most important responsibilities that I take a lot of pride in, that I feel show my value, and thus, why I should be getting further raises and promotions. Those responsibilities are being given to people with skills that I don't have.
Yeah, can you go get those? So the question is, can you go get those skills, or does this feel like to me like this is maybe a nice warning for you to go find a place where you could do this work that you really enjoy? That's the good news. You know what you enjoy and why you enjoy it. So I don't want you to be sitting around waiting for the hammer to drop, the shoe to drop on you. Is that your question?
It is. And, that shoe dropping could happen 10, 15 years from now. But,
No.
I don't want my career to happen to me. I want to direct my career.
Yeah. I just, that's weird. First of all, if it's 10 to 15 years from now, why are we worried about it? But I don't think that that's what's going on. I think there's enough legitimate concern in you that you called me today. And I think that you need to take the bull by the horns. And I like what you're saying. You take control of your career. It just feels like there's a lot of turnover. It was very ambiguous in how it was told to you. Certainly is how you're telling it to me. And then the last thing you just said, well, it could be 10 to 15 years from now. Well, it could be 15 days from now too.
Yeah, I don't think that quick, but you're right. I mean, things could happen quickly where all of a sudden I still have my job, but
I just don't know why, Tara, it doesn't make sense to me that your supervisor would have a conversation with you about something that could happen 10 years from now. That doesn't add up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not trying to be unkind.
Right.
Why would they tell you about it if it was 10 years from now? I don't buy that. Feels like a little bit of a warning to me. or a challenge to get upskilled. So here's what it boils down to. Can you get upskilled? Will they upskill you and pay for it, or will they train you so you can keep moving up? Because you don't see a path forward right now. That's the bigger issue. And so I want you looking into other companies in this field where you can do this work you want to do, and you do your homework ahead of time. Not just about the job itself, but the environment. Is there low turnover? Is there high engagement? Do they train people? Do they promote people they train? You can find this out, and that's what you must do. This is a bit of a detective, a little private investigating before we apply. But we want to be in an environment where we can see a ladder and we're trained to climb the ladder and allowed to climb the ladder. And that's not what you have, Tara. It's time to start preparing for a better place.
According to Glassdoor, the average job offer attracts over 250 applicants. If you've made it to the interview, you've already made a great impression. So now is the time to showcase how you are the best choice for the role. That's why we created How to Win the Interview. This free guide will walk you through the 5 strategies to help you stand out amongst the competition. With just some intentionality, you can prepare yourself to win the interview. Go to kencoleman.com/interview.
You were created to fill a unique role in this world through your work. That means you are needed, and it means you must do it. And yet that is so incredibly difficult for us to figure out on our own. That's why I created an assessment that essentially interviews you as though you were sitting with me at the kitchen table, and I was asking you about what you do best, your talents. I was asking you about the kind of work that lights your heart up. You love the work. That's passion. And I was asking you, what results do you want to put into the world? That's mission. You take those top results, you put it in a purpose statement so that you can look at it and see a high-level job description that will keep you clear, keep you confident, and keep you courageous. The assessment is the Get Clear assessment. It's only $30 at kencoleman.com/assessment. It's digital. You keep your results, a deep dive report, plus that purpose statement, which gives you so much confidence. kencoleman.com/assessment. Check it out. Let's stay right here in Nashville in our backyard. Evan is on the line. Evan, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
So, over the last couple of years, I've taken a little bit of a beating at work, but I've finally settled into a company that treats me good, but kind of underpays me. And I'm kind of getting disillusioned with the work I've been doing for the last 6 or 7 years. Now, my current job would allow me to go to school and get a degree in education, which is something that I would love to do.
Specifically what?
It would be either high school, it would be either teaching high school history or middle school history, one of the two.
All right, but you said?
But one of my friends is an IT director for another company, and he has told me they're looking to bring somebody in to do my job, and it would double my income.
Okay.
So
what's the
I'm
question?
I'm kind of in this weird point because I'm kind of getting disillusioned with working in technology. I'm not really feeling fulfilled in the industry anymore.
Is that because of the pay, or is that because of the position?
I think it's a little bit because I've had some really bad. I've worked for some really bad companies very recently that have just treated me really poorly, and also have not invested in their infrastructure in the way they should.
Right.
And then, yeah.
So my thing is I'm not 100% sure that it's about the position. It's been about the places. And so the question I have is this IT position that your friend told you about, did you ask him to describe the day-to-day? Do you have a pretty good grasp of what you would be doing?
What I do is very specialized.
So it's more of the same.
Yes.
Okay. Do you like that work? Forget about the environment. I'm talking, do you like the work? Does it challenge you?
Yes, it does.
Do you enjoy it? If I strip out all the nonsense that you'd have to deal with, do you enjoy the work itself?
Yes.
Makes you feel good. You get lost in it.
Yes.
Produces results that you care deeply about, yes or no?
Absolutely.
All right, then. So you've been treated like crap, and so when you get treated like crap, you feel like crap. And when you feel like crap, you just want to stop doing what you're doing. But in all reality, I'm not convinced that education is the play for you, but I will ask you this. Why are you so intrigued by education? Let's assume that I could just give you your teacher's degree right now, your education degree, and you could go teach high school history. What is exciting about that to you?
As challenging and fulfilling as some of the work that I've done, the most exciting and fulfilling portions of it have been when I've led training courses.
Great. So that's all I needed to know. So the question now becomes, if this new job is a healthy environment where you are not treated poorly, and you get to do the work that you already said you really enjoy and the results motivate you, and it leads to you leading some people through training, meaning you get the opportunity to not just do the work, but instruct and train and guide, because that's the teacher in you. Would you take that, or would you take the history position?
I don't think that you could stop me fast enough from taking that position.
Which position? History or IT?
The IT.
I know. So the question becomes, in this interview process, you've got to do your homework with your friend. How good of a friend is this?
I've known him for about 20 years.
Yeah. This is where I wish we could call the friend right now. This is what's missing from this show, by the way, on phone calls. I want to tap into this guy, and I want to ask him point blank. I want to say, tell me about the culture. This is what I want you to do. I want you to say, dude, shoot me straight. I want you to tell him what you've experienced over the last several years, and I want you to say, does that kind of stuff happen on a regular basis? Shoot me straight, man. What kind of culture? You know what? In fact, don't tell him. Does he know about all the crap you've dealt with?
He's kind of mentored me into my current position.
So he knows you've dealt with a lot of junk.
Absolutely.
All right, then. Ask him, dude, shoot me straight. What's the culture like? That's the first and foremost. Because you already know what the position is as it relates to doing the work you're already doing. And then the third question, so the first question is, and we got the answer to the second one. The first one is, what kind of culture is it? The second question is this truly allowing me to do what I've already been doing? And we know the answer is yes. The third question is, will it have a component in the future where I can train and instruct and guide? If I move up the ladder, will it move into where I can train? Because you want to train and guide and instruct. Those are the three questions. And in the interview process, when he's not involved, you gotta express that. Say, hey, I love the work. I'm good at the work. I want to do the work. But I want you to know that I have a heart of a teacher. And to the extent that I can add value to this organization through this position or through growth from this position where I can lead, guide, train, I want to do that. I would make that very clear in the interview process and see how they respond to that.
Okay.
I don't think going to college to get a degree in education to make less than what you're making now in a public school system that is increasingly difficult for teachers to thrive in is the right move for you, based on what we've talked about today.
That has been my biggest holdup, is I know how teachers are treated, and I wasn't sure if I want to jump into that.
I don't want you to jump into that. I talk to teachers all the time. And it's not that you, and listen, I try to encourage teachers, and you know, some just can't do it anymore, and I don't judge them. Some somehow figure out how to do it. But it's not about that it's difficult for teachers, because it is. It's that you don't have a deep, abiding passion to teach history. I don't hear that. I hear you have a deep, abiding passion to instruct, to train, to guide, to dispense knowledge that you find valuable. That's what
I would agree with that.
Good. So my point is, let's do it in the best environment possible for the best pay possible. You got it?
Absolutely.
And I don't think the public school system is the best environment or the best pay. In fact, I know it's not. And
No, it's not.
and so I think you pursue this thing. Eyes wide open, ask the right questions, but pay attention to the existing culture. Because here's the deal. You know why you have the advantage in this? Because you know what an unhealthy culture looks like, sounds like, smells like. Am I right?
I can see it from the postings now.
Well, all right. So my point is, how do you feel about this other place where your buddy's been working?
I trust that he's built a team that's going to work well and effectively with everybody, and he has no problem punching upward to get money to get things done.
Great. So you feel good about it?
Yeah.
You feel good about him. What about the overall culture?
I haven't worked with him. I know the company. And
my point is, you just told me you can smell it. You can see it from the postings. Do your homework. Don't just rely on your buddy. But I like this direction. I don't think you need to be a history teacher. Thanks for the call, brother. This is the Ken Coleman Show.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.